Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of Homer's Odyssey, Book 3, and I got up to, I think, here, line 430. So they're now going to prepare for the feast. Nestor's given them all instructions to do various things, and Josephat thus he spoke, and they accordingly, it's very important, they accordingly, all of them, epoi pnuon, funny word, it means to bustle about, to busy themselves. It's used elsewhere, I think in the Iliad of Hephaestus, bustling about, I think back in book 1. Aelthemend arbus ec pediu. So the ox, perhaps it's the cow, came from the plain, and now there's no break in the line here, so we take the whole lot here. So here's the subject here, the hetaroi for hetiroi. You often get this shortening of the diphthong for the sake of metre. So the comrades of great-hearted Telemachus came from the swift, well-balanced, it's often translated, ship, and the Calchus. Now, this before he was described as the goldsmith, now he's a Calchus, the smithy. The smithy came having in his hands his hopla. Now hopla can often mean weapons, but it means tools as well. So his bronze calcaia hopla, his bronze tools, perita technes, lovely little expression. Perita literally completions or finishings, but here it just means tools. So it's like our tools of the trade. His akmon, this is his anvil, and his sphuran, sphura is first declension feminine, it's a hammer, and his well-made pour agrain, these are tongs used in the fire, so fire tongs, with which and we get the tet, with which also he used to work the gold. So with which he worked the gold. And Athena came, Antiosa. This is a lovely little expression here. It's from antiao, is the verb. It's sort of a, it's like a sort of future participle here, really. It's for the purpose of meeting with the sacrifices. So she comes along, she's the one who's the recipient of the sacrifices, so she comes along the intention of meeting with the sacrifices. And the old man, now here's another one of these nominative adjectives, the hip-a-lata. It's not the usual description of Nestor, but it is connected with horses. Elsewhere he's called Hippota, the horseman. Here he's an hip-a-lata, from hippos. Now the ale root is from elauno. So the old man Nestor, the driver of horses, Edoc, he gave, understand, to the smithy, the gold, the cruson. And he, this is the smithy now I think, he then, ascesas, kept to the next line, ascio, we get our word ascetic from this, to practice. And it can mean to practice, can mean just work. So he, doing his job, pericuin, I suggested perhaps you could translate, it means pouring around, but perhaps overlaying might be the right word here. He then, working away, he overlaid, understand, with gold, the horns of the oxen or cow, hin, in order that she, the goddess, so in order that the goddess, having looked on, kekaroito, probably a reduplicated aorist optative here, that she looking on might take pleasure in it. And now we get, these are the various sons. We have the 6 sons named before, and now we get stratios and echiphrone, so and glorious echiphrone. Interesting, reverse order to what we got before. Earlier it was echiphrone first and then stratios. Now it's stratios and glorious echiphrone. Now we get a duel here. We're leading the ox, the cow, a keraon by the horns. So this is a duel from Ago. So they were leading in the cow by the horns. And they've all got their jobs to do, and so we have a list now of the other various sons. And Aretus, there's no break here, so we've got to go all the way to the end. So Aretus came from the bedroom carrying, I think the sphere must be for them, sphere for sphici, carrying for them a kernibar from kernips. This is a vessel of water used for hand washing, and so you get the care for the hand, and the nib from niptomai to wash. So this is a hand washing vessel. So it's a vessel used for water for washing hands, and it was in a lebati, in a ewer, lebase, third declension, which was anthemoenti, which was flowery. So it's a vessel, a water vessel, in a ewer, which perhaps is embossed or decorated with flowers. So he came carrying that, and he held hetere. I think we have to supply kairi here, in his other hand. So he held in his other hand the ulas. These are the barley groats. In carneo. Oh no, sorry, that's got to go with carneo. So he held in another vessel, canister, or basket, if I'm looking for. He held in another basket, not the other hand, he held in another basket the ulas, the barley groats. Pelokonder meneptolemos Thrasymedes. And Thrasymedes is one of the other sons, mighty in war, holding a sharp axe in his hand. He stood beside Epikopson from Epikopto. This is a future infinitive, a future participle, sorry, being about to kill, to cut to pieces the, it's being about to cut it against the ox. It's this sharp pelacus, so being about to we would say being about to kill the ox, but I think the grammatical sense of it is epi and then copto, so being about to cut with it against the ox or the cow. Perseus de amnion ake. Amnion is a funny word, it's very rare. I think it's only here in Homer. It's a bowl used for catching the victim's blood. So this is a rather, it's what's known as a type scene we're about to get. The sacrifice of an animal. It's a set scene in Homer. Varies in language, but Homer goes through in gory detail all the things that's going to happen. It's called a type scene. So Perseus held the amnion. This is the bowl for catching the victim's blood. And we get hip a later again for Nestor. So the old man Nestor, the driver of horses. Kat arketo and kat arkamai is to make the first fruits of offering. So make an offering of the kernib bar, so this is the hand washing water, and the barley groats. And making this, so you get kat arkamai, so it's perhaps better translated here. He began the procedure of the water and the barley groats. It's a religious term here. He made a beginning of it, and offering first fruits he prayed muchly to Athena. This is the aparkomenos. Aparche comes to mean the first fruits that you offer to the god at the appropriate season of the year. So it's something like making the first fruits, making the offering of the first fruits. He prayed muchly to Athena, casting them, that's the water and the groats, casting into the fire the hairs from its head. That's the head, not his head, but the head, I think, of the cow. So they would pull the hair off the animal and then put it in the fire. So casting into the fire the hairs, trichas from thrix, from its head. But when they had prayed and they had cast forth the barley groats, then the son of Nestor, high-minded Thrasymedes, standing near, elasen, again is from that elauno verb, so it means something like to, we would say to drive home, he drove home the blow. He's the one who's going to kill the oxen, and so this is from elauno, so he dealt the blow, or he drove home the blow. The animal doesn't die for a few lines to come yet. They basically stun the poor thing and partially kill it. And the pellicus, the axe, apokopse, having cut off the tendons of the neck. So I should have had a trigger warning here that this is going to be a bit gory. So the axe cut off the tendons of the neck, and the strength of the oxen was, it loosed the strength of the oxen. So the subject of loosen, this is for aorist from luo, is the axe. So the axe loosed the strength of the oxen, and the daughters and the nuoi, these are the sons' wives, ololuxan from ololuzdo, they screamed ololololol oi or something, they screamed out, and also his august wife, the august wife of Nestor, who is Eurydice, Eurydice, the Presba, the elder of the daughters of Clymenos. But they, when anhelontos, this is again a funny expression here, it's from an and un plus hyreo. This is the hell root from hyreo. It means to raise up. And we have to understand, we have to supply the head of the cow, the head of the animal. So they then, having raised up its head from the broad, of the earth with its broad ways, the Uru and the Hodos, from the broad-wayed earth, Eskon, they were holding it there. Why they do this, I don't know. You'll have to consult the commentaries, but they take the animal's head and they hold it upwards, probably to make it easier to finish the thing off. Arte, but Pisistratus, this is the leader of men, that was the epithet he got before. This is this newfound friend of Telemachus, the son of Nestor. He sphaxen, he slaughtered it. And when the black blood, this is from Reo, despite the rule here, there is a rule too as well, I think. It flowed out, so when the black blood flowed out from it, that's why I've been translating it as cow, I think, because its taste is feminine. So when the black blood flowed out from it, the thumos, this is the soul really, it's the heart, the soul, the life force left its bones, asti and neuter plural. So at this point the cow is certainly dead. Ipes ara min de acuan. Funny word here, de acuo. It means to dismember or to cut into pieces. So then quickly they cut it into pieces, min for auton, but they cut out, ek with the tamnon from temno, they cut out all the thighs, all its thighs, katamoiron, in due order, and now the kata goes with the kalupto, and they covered it over, kanise, with fat, having made a diptuka, a double fold. This again is part of this type scene. This is the standard language used all the way here. You'll see this used over and over again. And the omathatersan, they placed raw meat upon it, upon them, and the old man began to burn it from kaio, imperfect, episkidze, on the faggots, on the strips of wood, and he poured, again, or began to pour, it's an imperfect from labo, he began to pour sparkling wine over it. Okay, and the neoi de pa auton ekon pem polakersin. The young men held with their hands, the young men beside him were holding, it's imperfect from echo, were holding in their hands pemp obola. The pemp here is from the 5, so it's a 5-pronged forks. A pemp obolon is the neuter plural here. So the young men were holding beside him, were holding in their hands the 5-pronged forks, but when, now the kata goes with the ka-a. This again is an apocryphated aorist form from kaio. It's a funny form here with kata kaio. So when they had burnt the thighs and they had tasted of the entrails, mistulon, they cut the other pieces, the other parts into little pieces, and they pierced them around the spits. Again, this is very stock phrase in Homer. These 2 lines, very standard stock phrase from this, these scenes of sacrificing and preparing for feasts and things. These so-called type scenes. Optone, they were roasting, it's from optao, so this is imperfect. They were roasting, so they were roasting them, having in their hands, acroporus is a very funny word. It means piercing with their sharp ends. So having in their hands spits which pierce with their sharp ends, they began to roast. So holding them in their hand, they began to roast the meat. And that's the next little section from Book 3.